Good morning, members. Wait a second. Sorry, I almost forgot. Can't be leaving the house without your social distancing and face masks. You know, in this times of quarantine, we gotta respect Governor Wolf's wishes for us to be safe and spread kindness and not germs, and care for each other in that way. I hope you're having a great Monday so far. Today we're gonna be working on some golf mobility. This is a video that's been requested by a few different people, and I'm hoping that you'll each be able to use this since the golf courses are now open. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. We're gonna start on the ground and work our way up for this video. So for our first movement, we're going to be working on a frog pose with thoracic rotation. Okay, so the frog pose is going to be a stretch that is oftentimes used in yoga, specifically to open the hips. This is a great exercise when coupled with the thoracic rotation, as you'll see here. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna get into a kneeling position like so, okay? And then you're gonna walk your hands down, get into a quadruped position, okay? So you're on all fours, hands roughly under the shoulders, knees roughly under the hips. And you're gonna walk your knees out to the side, okay? So you're kind of in like a straddle position. And then you're gonna walk down to your elbows, okay? So you're like this on the floor. I have a pretty decent stretch on my inner thighs right now, my groin. From here, I'm gonna take one hand, put my earmuffs on, and reach up toward the ceiling and down towards the floor. Up towards the ceiling and down towards the floor. So you're just gonna work on opening that range of motion up. And you may feel some cracking, some popping. I know that first rep, I got a good crack in my right hip. This is even better done after a nice warm up, maybe a walk around the park, walk around your house, walk around your property, something like that, and then do these movements. After you're nice and warmed up, alternatively, these can be done before you leave to go on your game for the golf course, before you play your rounds. So that way you're limiting time and time spent at the club rather, and you don't need to go too early before your game, and you know, making it easier for everybody to social distance. Well, let's get back to the other side. Same idea. We're gonna drop those knees into the floor, wide hips. Okay, onto the forearms here. Elbow up towards the ceiling. I have my earmuff on, just like gently cupping my ear all the way down. Twist. Now, the goal is as I continue, I want to get that elbow up higher and higher, further and further back, right? Now you'll notice as that elbow comes up, you're going to feel a sharp stretch, not a sharp pain hopefully, but a sharp stretch in that left hip as your torso rotates and tries to create that expansion there. This is an awesome first move, so let's get to our second move. So the second move is going to be a world's greatest stretch with a hip restriction, okay? So some of these, because it's a mobility drill, they're going to look and feel probably a little bit funny, but they're a great way to warm your hips up and really get the most power and performance out of those hip muscles that you have. So we're going to start off here with a high plank, okay? Get up into that high plank. You're gonna bring this foot forward, okay? I'm gonna show you my outer leg, right? So my right leg's gonna shoot forward, goes on the outside of my hand, okay? Now from here, I'm gonna create a hip restriction. So I'm gonna take this hand and put it on the outside of my knee, so my knee can't move, okay? So from here, I'm gonna drop my hip down and pick my hip up, okay? So nice and slow, I'm gonna drop my hip down, pick my hip up. Now, the way that looks from the front view, so you have an easier time seeing this. You're gonna pick your foot up first, boom, okay? Create the restriction in the knee. So usually what'll happen if I drop my hips, my knee shoots out to the side there. I'm creating that restriction in my knee, right? And that just intensifies the stretch in my front hip, okay? So same idea on the other side. You're gonna start here, boom, okay? Create the restriction, drop the hip in, okay? Right? And you'll feel it. As soon as you drop that hip in, your hand will have to kind of push that knee into place, right? So again, you can go, you can set a time or you can set a rep count for this. It's totally up to you. Let's get to our third stretch. So for our third stretch, we're gonna bust out a kneel with overhead reach. This is going to stretch out our abs, our hips, and really get our legs warmed up to play. So we're gonna start with a lunge, okay? You're gonna slowly sink into that lunge. You're gonna plant the knee, okay? Arms go up overhead, okay? Bring your hands back down and stand up. Other side, okay? Now there's a couple different variations you can do for this. This is just the basic one, right? And immediately I feel that pull on my hip just by raising my hands up over my head, right? Creating that length in the torso. One thing you can do is twist away. So turn your shoulders, think about your shoulders like a goal, right? So take that goal and point it this way, right? So you can see as I'm reaching up, my torso is twisting away from that hip and the tissues are getting stretched along this contralateral plane, right? Which just means either side, right? Ipsilateral is the same side, contralateral means crossing the sides. And contralateral movements are pretty relevant in golf because, you know, for example, if we just take a look at your swing, right? Let's say this is how you take a swing. You don't obviously, but if you swing up, you see my knees down here is in flexion and my shoulder here is in flexion. I come down and I make a contralateral chop, right? So I go from flexion here and abduction here to abduction here, right? Okay, so anyway, enough scientific mumbo jumbo. Okay, so for the next stretch, what we're gonna do is put our heel up on the chair, okay? So this immediately becomes a hamstring stretch, right? I have a relaxed foot, my knee is slightly bent. The more I bend my knee and the more I push my hips back, the more I feel that stretch. Okay, if I keep my leg nice and straight, yeah, I feel that stretch a fair bit, but keeping that bent knee, I really can isolate that hamstring. So from here, I'm gonna keep my foot relaxed. I'm not pulling my toe up towards my body. Just keeping my foot relaxed, keeping my leg relatively straight, maybe a little bit of bend in my knee. I'm then going to get a golf club or a pole, whichever you have, and if you don't, you can just put your hands on your head, put your earmuffs on, and you're just gonna twist, okay? So the goal here is to keep your toe relaxed and your foot straight, okay? So you're gonna point the other foot. You can't see my other foot, but it's pointing right at the camera, okay? So from here, I'm gonna swing through, all the way through. Notice how I'm using that full 180-degree rotation. My left foot is still pointing towards the camera, but my body is all the way twisting, facing that way, right? So I'm working with as close to 180 degrees as I can get, okay? Now, if you want to incorporate that hamstring stretch a little more, what you're going to do is take this position, rotate it, whether it's with your earmuffs or your golf club behind your back, and you're just going to twist down towards your foot, right? So immediately I feel that less in my abs and my back and my chest, and I feel that more in my hamstring, which is the goal of this stretch. Okay, so again, you can go 5 to 10 times on each side and take your time with it and really work through that progression. See if you feel there's more in the hamstrings or the back or the pecs, and then maybe even working more on that area. For the next stretch, we're gonna actually have a static stretch. Up until now, we've done dynamic mobility. This time we're gonna be working on static mobility. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a seat. Okay, this is just a seated example. Now, a lot of people who have asked me about sciatic pain in the short time that I've been at the club in the fitness center manager position, I have told them about this stretch, or I've encouraged them to do this stretch, or I've told their significant other about this stretch. So what we're gonna do is you're gonna bend your knee, bend it, bring that foot, ankle on top of the knee. You're gonna stand up nice and tall. So you're actually gonna kind of pull yourself forward using your legs, right? So you're gonna pull yourself forward, make sure you're at the edge of the chair like you're excited, right? And you're just gonna lean forward, slowly lean forward. Now, immediately I feel a tightness in my hip, specifically in my glute where I'm sitting. So on the left side. So this is called a piriformis stretch. And the piriformis is a little pear-shaped, that's what they say in my class, but it doesn't look like a pear. Anyway, pear-shaped muscle that actually sits on top of the sciatic nerve and wraps around it. Sometimes the piriformis can get too tight and create the sensation of sciatic pain. I'm not, in no way trying to diagnose this pain. I'm just saying this is maybe a way that you can see if it's actual sciatic nerve pain, or maybe it's just a tight muscle. So after that, you're gonna switch to the other side, and again, starting here, starting nice and upright, fixing my posture first, and then leaning forward, right? Because I can lean forward all I want if I do this. I can touch my head to my knee, and I don't really feel anything. But if I adjust my posture and work to the edge of the seat, that's where I feel it, right? Just that small range of motion, right? The difference good posture can make here versus here. It's like night and day. So that is our static stretch for the day. And we're gonna do one more dynamic mobility exercise. And then we are gonna turn you loose onto the golf course or whatever you're doing for the rest of your day. All right, so what we're gonna do next is a thoracic spine stretch. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take a foam roller or a bolster or a pillow, something that you can wedge behind your shoulder blades. You're gonna put it in your mid back right about here, okay? And you're just gonna crunch. You're gonna do like a reverse crunch. You're gonna put your earmuffs on. You're gonna do a reverse crunch over the foam roller and then crunch up, okay? So that way, what's happening is with the foam roller right behind your thoracic spine, right? You're actually doing like a crunch over the foam roller, and you're working on increasing the mobility of your thoracic spine. Now, if you have any questions about this, feel free to email me, joelbaker@philadelphiacc.net, and let us know how you're stretching, or if you want help with anything, or if you just want to say hi. Community is always important, and digitally is how we communicate in these times. So we look forward to hearing from you, and have a great day. Have a healthy Monday, everyone. Thanks, bye.